Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For this episode, James has kindly offered to be my host, and he's going to offer you all the tips and tricks that you need for successful vaulting.
Bonjour.
Go for it.
So the benefits of training on a barrel first is that you take away the element of the horse. This is like a fake horse. So it means that number one, you don't lose the horse's energy when you want to do lots and lots of repetitions. And number two, you don't need to think in the horse, how the horse is moving, the rhythm, etc. So all in all, it just means you can do a lot more repetition and concentrate on your technique. So all around the world, everybody has their different styles and techniques of vaulting. But for us, we're just going to focus on two different styles today. The ones that you will mainly see in around our style of trick riding and in Europe. So for those of you that are just beginning your vaulting career, you would always start to vault where you push on the saddle on your elbow. Now this is more of a natural way to vault. You will always find that naturally you will fall into the position of the elbow on the saddle without really thinking about it, so you actually don't need to put that much thought into the technique like the push vault. Here we have Miri.
Hi guys.
Today she will be our trick riding student. Miri has had a few trick riding lessons now, mainly actually on a horse. We taught her the basics of trick riding, and today we decided to step off the horse onto the barrel so that we can teach her the beginning of vaulting. Now it's important to learn vaulting, especially in the beginning of trick riding, because not only is it a trick that you can perform in shows, it's also a way to learn how to get out of bad situations. If you end up on the side of the horse because you made a mistake in one of your other tricks, it's always good to know how to get back up onto the saddle to get yourself out of a sticky situation. The first thing that I'm actually going to ask Marie to do is I'm just literally going to ask her to jump on the barrel of the horse however she feels is the best way to do it. I'm not going to teach her any sort of techniques just yet. I just want to see how she naturally jumps up onto the horse as if she's vaulting like on a galloping horse. Allez.
Ta-da. Ta-da. That wasn't bad.
So before we start to break down Marie's technique and things like this, let's talk about a topic which came up in the questions about different sized horses. Now, the good way to teach Marie is obviously, for Marie, she's a bit smaller than me and not as powerful. Strong legs.
It's true.
So for Marie, ideally, she could actually be, we actually could do with making it a little bit of a shorter distance between the trampoline and the saddle, just so that it's not as hard for her to gain the impulsion from the floor to get onto the horse. So in the beginning, maybe we could put a pallet under the trampoline, just to give it a little bit less space that she has to jump. The first obvious sort of mistake, it's not really a mistake, it's just a natural thing to do, that you might have seen Mary do, was she turned her shoulders into the horse before performing the vault, which meant that when she was jumping, she was like this. And when you're like this, it's harder to get your legs up and onto the horse. So you might have seen Miri do a little bit of a shuffle in the end to finish off the movement and sit in the saddle. Whereas what we want to see is your shoulders open, pointing a little bit off centre forwards before you vault, to give your body the space to be free from the saddle so your legs can come up. first progression that we're going to try and make with Miri's technique is we're going to try to get her out of going into the horse here. So we want to start to focus more on overemphasizing our body facing outwards from the horse. So we want to have our left shoulder pulled back, our chest sticking out here. So you want to stand like you're proud, like that. Exactly. And then from there, you keep in the same position and you do your jump into your vault, and you hopefully should be more outside here. See? So now Mari's turn.
At the beginning, we was using a long tube
But
of water to warm the horse. Then he asked me to take it.
Not bad, off you go.
And then we took
So you might have noticed then that the first thing that Miri did, she kept the body actually in a good position. But the first thing that she did was she jumped and she went like this with her legs. Peace. Those of you who are struggling with the height of your legs in your vaults, you feel like you can't get your legs up and above the saddle before you come back in the saddle, a good sort of way to think about it is to land with your feet on the croup of the horse together. This will encourage your legs to stay together and to come up together above the horse before they break into the saddle. It just helps your brain break it down and make it a little bit more easy, so you will think to go over like normal, up, and in.
Nice.
And if you have a horse, which is good with allowing you to put your feet on the croup, don't be afraid to try it. Don't be afraid to let your feet come onto the croup before you come in the saddle. For now, we want to try and get her to feel her legs together and up onto the back of the horse. So Mari's going to try to jump. She's going to come up, and I want her feet to land on the bum of our horse here before she sits in the saddle. So Mari's going to try it on her own, but maybe I'll have to give her a little helping hand. Feet up. So this is the end result. Now I'm going to give, because Marie is trying to vault on such a big tall horse for her, I'm going to give her legs a little bit of a helping hand up so that she can feel the right rhythm. Adi.
I'm done.
Now you're going to jump, I'm going to catch your legs.
Be careful, I'm not throwing them.
Yeah, just keep your legs together. And then split your legs and jump on them.
Is that okay?
That is the right.
I'm going now. Okay. Oh. Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Because I'm so far back, how am I gonna do I pull myself in the saddle just or not? Because I feel like this is stopping me from pulling me in the saddle.
When you do it on the horse, the aim is to be above the saddle. So you don't want to aim to be like scraping the saddle before you come down. You want to aim to be above the saddle, and it's so important to remember to always put your feet in front of the horse.
Okay.
Because when you're doing it on a galloping horse, if you land with your feet behind the pace of the front feet, you're gonna get even more behind, and you're gonna end up landing on the croup before the saddle. So you want to push your feet as far forward as you can, as it'll let you, so that by the time the horse has gone through its rhythm, you come up in a good time and land in the saddle. So always feet forward.
Okay.
Again. When you're on the side.
On my own?
Yeah.
Nope. Working.
Now on a barrel, I would say it's like 10 times harder than what it is on a galloping horse, because you don't have the momentum of the horse in the canter to help you get that flying sensation. You have to generate it all yourself through your legs, and if you don't have really strong legs, then it's hard to do it. Like you want to go up in the air, and you want that moment of like a complete pause. So like you float in for a second before you come into something. as you come into the saddle, you need to use your arms to push. So you need to have your arms in a good place. You need to use them like a brake to slow your body down into a saddle. But as you sit, as you come down, you want to push so that you're sitting upright, so you're not landing with your face in the pommel. So you just come up, and your body does the right thing, but your legs sort of go like. So you want to imagine that your legs are like tight together.
So I'm concentrating on my legs now.
Just concentrate on your legs.
Okay.
Legs together. Feel like you got to tap the croup into the saddle. Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Even more. So now that Mary's had a few practices from her bounce into the vault, we're going to make it a little bit more realistic, where she starts on the saddle, she jumps off, passes her leg, comes onto the floor, and directly jumps back onto the saddle as if she was on a horse. So for this, it's exactly the same like what she did before, just this time she's not going to have as much time on the floor. So she's going to pass the leg, come to the trampoline, and directly in one push, you're going to push and jump up. So it's going to be a little harder for her to get the technique right in such a little time, but it's the next step up in the chain. Ali. She's cheating.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
She didn't get the memo. So you want to, as soon as you start the movement, you don't stop. You don't pause, and you don't go super fast. It's one smooth movement. So elbow. Body weight through the elbow. Elbow. Yeah. Good, but don't. You're trying to put too much weight through your hand, through your wrist, so you're going to end up hurting your wrist.
Like I do.
Put your body weight through your elbow, so really lean on your elbow. You'll find yourself much more stable, and you'll be able to control your body when your body's going through your elbow. Through your hand, it's more.
All right.
Good. We're getting there now. If you're feeling already confident with the vault on the elbow, you can take it to the next step up, which is the push vault, where you push on both hands. And it just gives you that little bit more height above the saddle. Now, in Europe, this is more of a boy-oriented trick, but that doesn't mean to say that girls can give it a go too. It just needs that little bit. It's just that bit more technically different and technically harder than pushing on the elbow. So one of the key things that you need to think about or focus on when you are trying to vault with the push is that you need to make sure that you get the right timing. So when your feet touch the floor is exactly when you need to start your push. So you need to jump from the floor and push with your hands in the same time. That will help you use the momentum of the horse to get right up and onto the straight arm. It's important that when you push that you lock your elbow out and you end up on the straight arm, because if you have a straight arm, it's a much stronger position to be in, and it will help you to use your arms like a brake to sit in the saddle, so you won't come on the horse really heavy, which is not what we like to see in trick riding. To get this vault really clean and tidy, it's super important that you're always aiming to move forwards. What I mean by that is, in the beginning, put your feet as in front of the horse as possible, and when you jump from the floor, you want to send your body over the top of your saddle and over the top of the horse's head as much as you can. You got to make it feel like that. It puts you in the nicer position to control into the saddle, and also it's a strong position. When your arms are underneath your body, you can hold your body weight, whereas if they are out, it takes a lot more strength to hold you there. So make it easy for yourself. Aim to go as high as you can over the top of your saddle. So that's it, guys, for the first episode of our vaulting tips and tricks. Tune in to next week when we take it one step up and we do some vaulting on the horse. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it gave you all the information you needed. Be sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for next week, and comment down below if you have any questions. Ciao.